In today's episode, we'll share ways that you can save when dining at Disney.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
You are listening to the Main Street Magic Podcast with your hosts, Jeremy Stein and John Marone.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I am your host, Jeremy Stein, and while John is currently traveling, I'm actually still joined by my friend, Skype buddy, and lover of Disney food, John Marone.
Hello, and I wish I was enjoying a Mickey pretzel right now, but I am not.
So where are you at, John?
I am in the wonderful panhandle of Florida this week.
Well, at least you're still enjoying our lovely Florida weather. So in today's episode, we will discuss the best ways to save while dining at Disney. As always, check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at mainstmagic. So, John, we're going to go ahead and record from two separate locations tonight because we want to continue to just pump out the content and give as many tips and advice as we can, and we do not want to miss a beat, even when you're out of town but still in the same state. So, John, as we kick off this episode, I first want to ask you a question that we recently had on Facebook. And Rhonda and I answered this ourselves previously in the trip review that we did. And this came from Susan Reiner and Christina Walrath. And the question was, who was the most magical cast member you ever met, and why were they so magical?
Wow. You know, there's, so many, and I'm not going to end up with a name here off the top of my head.
Sure. But
I'll at least say the position and tell you what happened. So this is the one that's probably the best for me. We were staying at Port Orleans and decided to go ahead and get caricatures done of the kids. They wanted them, and I said, well, let's do them. I have one from when I was little at Disney. And, I was a police officer when I was little, and I still have it. Michelle has hers from when she was little, so we said it'd be great to go ahead and get these for the kids. So we did the colored one, did everything, and Gavin picked a superhero, and Gianna picked a mermaid. So the person who did them there in the lobby, he did excellent. Talked to him, told us a story, and how he even learned to draw and do all that. It was a great interaction.
Yeah.
So we took him to the room for the rest of our stay, and in the room there is a shelf, and so I put both pictures on the shelf, and that's where they stayed for the rest of our stay, including after I checked out. So we forgot them. So I knew what room I was in, everything, and we were driving home, and literally we were an hour away, not going to turn around, but we called the resort and said, hey, this is our room. We just checked out. We left these. Here's exactly where we left them.
Yeah.
And they said, well, somebody hasn't cleaned the room yet, and just gave us everything and just nothing. But when we do it, we'll go through. When we got back through them again, they said, okay, the room's been cleaned, nobody found it. We sent somebody to go check, and there was nothing there. So this kind of went on for a couple days, because then it was, well, now we need to go find out who cleaned the room, then we need to ask them what happened. Well, realistically, what happened is whoever cleaned the room threw them away.
Yeah.
And if they did go anywhere else, who knows where they went. But obviously
they're hanging on somebody's wall somewhere otherwise.
Yeah, somebody has two pictures of my kids somewhere. And isn't that what you do sometimes when you buy a picture frame? You keep the family in it because they look better.
Yeah. There's plenty of that on my Christmas tree right now. I noticed one in your Christmas tree the other day, and I thought it did not look like you guys. So that is a point well proven.
That is true. It's one Disney picture frame ornament that somebody gave us, and we have yet to put our own picture into it, but yet it was on the tree. And yeah, you did spot it the other day. So we went through it, and it turns out that the manager of the resort was just like, nobody knows anything, nothing. what can I do for you? Or next time you come, we'll do it. And, during the time, we did send her or text her emails of the pictures because we took them while we were having them done.
Right. So you took pictures with your phone of what they look like.
Took pictures with our phone. So we sent them to her, and she said, look, I'm going to go see if the artist can redo them based upon these pictures. And we're like, look, that fine, over and above, you're okay. But she said, no, that's okay. So she contacted us and said, hey, I just want to let you guys know I'm going to be sending, this to you in the mail. He was able to, we were excited. This was great. So all of a sudden, one day, this box comes in the mail, and the box it's big. It is not a small little box or a FedEx box that has 2 pictures in it. This box is enormous. So we opened the box, and sure enough, the pictures are in there. They weren't identical to the original ones, but man, they were good. So that artist, off of the photo that we text, recreated those 2 prints for us.
That's awesome.
But in addition to that box, they included some Star Wars lightsabers. They included some autograph books that every single page was signed by a character. It was already all pre-filled out. There was some coloring books. It was a box of all kinds of different trinkets and gifts.
Yeah.
In addition to the picture. And at the end of the day, it was my fault.
Yeah.
Right? It was nobody's fault but mine. We left them. All right? Now, they're taking some blame because whoever cleaned the room threw them away.
Sure.
But we would have been thrilled with just the pictures, but it was definitely over and above what they could have done, and obviously something that we remember, and obviously stuff that the kids still have.
Oh, of course. I mean, that is such a cool story. So not to get too off track before we start the topic of this show, but what I have wondered, and not that I have any insight, and I don't know that you do, but in situations like that, in the situations that Rhonda and I had on our last trip, where we got some free desserts and some other things, I wonder if each cast member or each manager, has a certain freedom to allow, whether it's a monetary value or it's just making sure that a guest has the best experience possible. I really wonder what type of freedom they have with that. Like, do you think it's possible that a cast member who works at a register selling desserts has the freedom of a budget per day to give out free desserts?
Yeah, I think that they have, and that, I look at it, and we've been to the parks before, walking by when Alexis and Johnny were little, and they have the carts that they push through with the flashing lights for the parade and everything, where somebody gave them each a flashing light. I've had it where they've given away, here's a balloon and that. And I think the biggest thing is, obviously, it's not something you could ever come to expect, but you never know when something like that's going to happen.
Right.
So I think they're encouraged to do things to make it magical and special, and they put that in the cast members' hands.
Yeah.
But also, if something is incorrect, do not. And this is something that I've heard from, Lee Cockrell is one who used to manage Disney parks, and he's been interviewed and wrote books and everything. But I think his thing was everybody should be empowered to make a decision to make sure that the problem is corrected and fixed right there on the spot. Not, Jeremy, you got a problem. You told me I can't help you. I have to go to somebody else who has to go to somebody else who then goes to somebody else and drops the ball.
Right. Oh, yeah.
To me, Disney, it's, hey, if you can fix it, you are empowered to fix it and correct the situation.
Definitely.
And I'm sure it's within some reason, but...
Oh, sure, yeah. But that's what makes it so magical. So I absolutely love your response to that question. And this is a question that we'll answer, I bet, every dozen episodes, because we're constantly having these types of magical experiences. So absolutely love that. So let's go ahead and move on to today's topic, which is Disney dining in ways that you can save. Disney dining we know that from quick service, from snacks all the way up to table service restaurants and signature restaurants has incredible food. But it can get very, very expensive. Even down to the snacks can be expensive. So we really want to share some ways that you can go, whether, again, as we've always talked about, whether it's once a month or it's once a year, what are the ways that you can save money on dining at Disney? So John, I'll let you kick it off with what you think is one of the top ways that you can kind of save a little bit of money and not just go absolutely overboard in your budget when dining at Disney.
So, I'll just jump into Tables in Wonderland, and I'll do a quick overview of that, though I do have some other ideas beyond that. Tables in Wonderland gives you 20% discount on all your food and beverage at Disney sit-down restaurants. It's also available at some counter service restaurants or food courts.
Yes.
So All-Star, Art of Animation, Pop Century, Porter Lanes, all those food courts accept it, as well as the sit-down restaurants. The 20% discounting is for up to 10 people. If you and your spouse or another person who's over 21 in your household has a card, you can do up to 20 people.
Yeah.
So one person could do up to 10 guests, including the card holder. Two people can do up to 20, which is pretty neat. This is only available, though, to Florida residents. And if you're a Florida resident, it is a $175 annual fee to receive this card. If you're an annual pass holder or a DVC member, it's $150. Mm-hmm. You do not have to be a Florida resident for that. So you have to be a Florida resident for $175, but an annual pass holder or DVC is just $150. With the 20%, which I said includes alcohol, there is an automatic 18% gratuity added to your bill. So if you want to get it back up to that 20% or whatever, leave more, or if service is better, go ahead and do more than that. But obviously at the counter service, there is no gratuity added.
Right.
This is also available. I'm a DVC member. My home resort is Vero Beach. This is also accepted at the restaurants and bars at Vero Beach.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It is not accepted at Hilton Head or Alani for DVC. So obviously only the DVC here in the state of Florida.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about the Alani one.
Yeah, it is also accepted at Swan and Dolphin at a couple of the restaurants there.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So even though those are Marriott/Sheraton properties, they're on Disney property, they also accept that Tables in Wonderland.
Yeah.
I keep track when I use it throughout the year. You and I have posted it on our website and on Facebook and Twitter. I think my total last year was I saved $641 or that throughout the year on meals. And then I take away my $150 from that. Obviously, it paid for itself.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're going to do sit-down dining or you're going to have beverages at any of these restaurants, to me, you can keep track and you can pay for yourself. Obviously, food, dining, beverages gets to be costly. So if you are doing a lot of sit-down restaurants, this might definitely be worth it. The other thing that it could be worth it is, let's say, I said annual pass holder. I'm a big believer on the annual pass holder if you are lucky enough that you can plan a trip to Disney every year. It often makes sense to become an annual pass holder, but plan your trip. Yeah. Right? So it's this year I bought my annual pass and my trip is going to be from June 1st to 7th. Next year I'll plan my trip so it's the end of May, and that way I got 2 trips out of the one annual pass.
Right.
And if you're going to do that, add on Tables in Wonderland as well.
Right. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
To
Especially
me,
if
really
you're doing those sit-downs.
Thing.
Sure. And if you're going to be there for 14 days out of a year, yeah, it's quite possible at that 20% savings, you're going to more than pay for that, $150 fee. And even if you break even, you're still not out any money.
Right. And then the other thing, too, is if you drive, so you have a rental car, you have your own personal car on property, for Tables in Wonderland for dining, the resort valet parking is complimentary, and also your theme park parking is complimentary for dining purposes.
Right.
So they could, right, if you booked it through My Disney Experience and you have a restaurant reservation, it's on your band. They could go ahead and do your band and save the $20 to park at a park if you're not staying on property,
right,
or perhaps you're somebody who's local. So, the resort valet, no different, right? You don't pay for that. Tip your valet.
Yeah.
And, you get yourself, some covered, drop the car off under cover, especially in Florida where it often rains. Walk right in and realize that that is being covered for you. So I just think it's a great way to save money. Obviously, we're in a different situation because we go once a month or that, and we do spend money on the meals. They also do different events that are available just to Tables in Wonderland members.
Yeah.
These events oftentimes aren't cheap. They don't seem to do as many as what they used to, but there's still one a month or one every other month where there'll be a sit-down restaurant, a sit-down dining event at a different restaurant only for a select number of Tables in Wonderland members.
Sure, yeah. And to piggyback on that, I think we can quickly talk about some of the regular pass holder discounts.
Sure.
And right now, we're looking at some of the 45th anniversary pass holder discounts. So, if we partner with Tables in Wonderland, in addition to the pass holder discounts, which are including a lot more of those quick service restaurants, there's a lot of ways to save. And I think my big thing, if you have either one, if you have Tables or if you have pass holder, there's going to be a list online of where you can save, but ask every single time. We've been very, very surprised at places that took either Tables or pass holder discounts that we were not aware of.
Yeah, absolutely for that. And no different Tables in Wonderland. I mean, just me looking at the list. Animal Kingdom, Flame Tree Barbecue, right? It's a walk-up counter. They take Tables in Wonderland. Pizza Fari takes it. And then you start looking at all the places at Disney Springs, which are not Disney restaurants, but, Jack Lindsay's Hangar Bar takes it. Morimoto, House of Blues, Splitsville, Art Smith. So there's a wide range of places that take it that you're going to get. Odds are there's a good chance you can get one or the other. Not everywhere.
Right.
You walk into Magic Kingdom and you go to one of the kiosks. Obviously, you're not getting any discounts there.
Right.
But it oftentimes does make sense to always ask, and I always do the same thing and ask, hey, what discount? Any discounts?
Yeah.
Hey, I'll throw something out here. I'll give you DVC. I'll give you annual pass, Tables in Wonderland, something. Florida resident. What can we do?
Right. And you taught us that lesson, and that's the same thing. On a quick side note, when you're doing merchandise, just ask for discounts because there may be a DVC or a pass holder discount. So this makes a lot of sense for your family and my family to have Tables in Wonderland. It does not make sense for everyone. So we want to talk a little bit more about some other ways to save. Maybe for that family that's just going down for a week or a long weekend once a year. One of the offerings is the Disney Dining Plan. Now, we know in early fall, often they will offer free dining plan options when you book certain packages. That's a no-brainer. You're going to go ahead and take the Disney Dining Plan. But if it's outside of that window, is the Disney Dining Plan worth it? And I just want to touch base on that a little bit because we have used the Disney Dining Plan before, and this was several years ago. There's 3 different levels of that dining plan, and the standard dining plan is probably the best option, the one that most people are selecting. And coming up in 2018, that's going to include 1 table service meal, which would be an entree, a beverage, and 1 dessert, or that can include 1 full buffet. It's going to be 1 quick service meal, which includes an entree and a beverage. You're going to get 2 snacks and then you're going to get your refillable resort mug. Now, the way this works is that's based on per person in your room reservation per day that you are there. So you're not allowed to pick and choose and say, well, look, we're going to be there for 7 days. We only want the dining plan for 3 days. Or we only want the dining plan for half of our party because the kids aren't going to eat a lot. You have to get it for everyone in your room for every night of your reservation. And the prices you're looking at for that standard dining plan in 2018 are roughly $75 an adult and $25 in a child, which is ages 3 to 9. So for us, come January, my daughter Kaylin isn't even a child anymore. She will be an adult. So we're looking at bumping up $50 if we were to do the dining plan. But even for a family of 4 with 2 children aged 3 to 9, you're looking at $200 a day. So what I think you need to look at is, would you normally spend $200 a day on food in the parks and in the resorts? Broken record here. My wife and I split a lot of meals. The kids split a lot of meals. For us, it does not make sense. We're not going to eat enough food. Now, one of the advantages is day one, you technically have all of your credits on your Magic Band or on your reservation. So you can kind of spread them out if you needed to or use them all up. Some table services, for example, Cinderella Royal Table, will require 2 table services credits. So you could be out there, but I have seen so many times on the last day of someone's trip when they're down at the food court at the hotel and they're getting like 20 Mickey Rice Krispie treats because they want to use up all their credits to make sure they got their money's worth. So for me personally, I'm not a big fan of the dining plan. I think there's a lot of other ways that you can save money and you can still eat really well. I know, John, you guys have not used the dining plan. Is it for some of those same reasons?
Yeah, I think overall it's cost. But the other thing is you have to add it ahead of time. Yeah. You can't get to Disney and say you want to do it.
Correct.
And then the second thing is it has to be done if you book through Disney.
Right.
Right. So I just never really added. So like when I stay at a Disney resort, all I'm doing is going online and reserving the hotel, right? It's not like the old days where, it's funny. In the old days, right, Disney would never publicize an 800 number. So no matter where you were in the country, when you called to make reservations and you were on hold for 30 minutes, it was always costing you. It was always a long distance number if you were outside the 407 area code. So there's, I think part of the reason the whole internet was invented was for people to share these hidden 800 numbers that you can call instead.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to worry about it anymore. You go online. So I just look at it for the cost, and I know again, if it was just my wife and I can justify that she and I with sit-down meals could spend that. Right. There is no way in this earth my kids are going to do $25 a piece.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
But let's look at, okay, so when we went back in, what was this, October, and we went to Morimoto, that one day, the meal that Rhonda and I and our 2 kids spent was about $100 plus some tip. We ate breakfast in the room, and shoot, that was our lunch. I don't remember what we did for dinner, but I guarantee it didn't make up another $100. So, yeah, I can't justify the cost of what the dining plan is. And we have really good friends from New York that go once a year, and they have gotten the dining plan before. And first of all, they felt so pressed to make reservations throughout their entire trip that a lot of times they would end up eating lunch somewhere at, let's just say they got a reservation at 1 p.m. and they were at, I don't know, Be Our Guest at Magic Kingdom. And then they were staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and they had reservations for dinner, which is what they could get at 6 p.m. at Sanaa. So between 1 p.m. and 6 p.m., they really weren't that ready to eat enough food to make the dining plan worth it, you know?
Yeah,
So-
which is the big thing that I look at even for me. It's like, I can eat like that for one day. I can't eat that way 4 or 5 days in a row.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And it's like, breakfast, give me some protein and enough energy to get going. You know, I'll have a nice lunch, and then dinner is a mix. And that's where I say, so, you know, some of the other ways to save money, we could always go back to the dining plan and kind of do it. Breakfast for me, if we don't bring it, right? We don't bring muffins, protein bars, prepackaged cereal or whatever into the room, and we do eat somewhere. We're grabbing something that's not much. In a food court restaurant, I am 100% comfortable ordering one of the kids' breakfast meals.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's the bacon and waffles, whether it's the kids' scrambled eggs breakfast, whatever. That's fine. That's enough food for me. I don't need to pay $4 more for the adult version and double all the portions.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So to me, I think another way to save money is, hey, kids' meals. And then, when you go to some of these restaurants, you're going to try an app because it's interesting.
Right.
Then you're going to have an entree. Then you're going to have a dessert. And you're going to add all this up. And you guys do a great job because you split the stuff. But the other thing I look at is sometimes these menus, the app menus are so good, just make the apps your meal.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
definitely. And they're not
just
small.
Share 2 or 3 apps. No,
Right.
They're not small. And that's it. And you save yourself spending a $30, $40, or $50 entree, and yet you got to try 2 or 3 different dishes that the restaurant does.
Yeah.
And you probably still have some room if you do want to splurge and do dessert.
Right. And that is another great tip. And what you talked about with the room is, so what we'll do a lot of times is we'll go to Publix, which is our local grocery store, and we'll buy the single bowls of cereal. You take the top right off, you pour milk in. Every room has a fridge. So if you have the opportunity to travel with a cooler like we do because you're driving, we always pack milk. We put it in the fridge. Kids are eating cereal in the morning. Or we'll even pack bagels and cream cheese. Now, if you're maybe flying in, I think there's still an opportunity to either pack in your suitcase things like cereal bars, protein bars. You could still even go ahead and pack those little boxes of cereal and pick up milk once you get there. But places like Amazon, Shipped, a lot of grocery stores are now delivering, and they will deliver to Disney. You can get there and still order snacks and different types of meals, like for breakfast, inside of the room. So again, that's another way that you don't have to eat every meal in a resort or in a park, because when it comes down to it, sometimes you're going to go and you're going to be in a park, and you know what you're going to eat? You're going to eat a hamburger, and you're going to pay a lot of money for it. And so why not maybe look at eating a better breakfast in your room, and then snacking while you're at the park, and then eating a really good dinner, because you can get that hamburger anywhere, right? I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We did that. So when we went to Disneyland this summer, I did that. Went to the app for Vons, which is, to me, somewhat the California equivalent of Publix or that. Not as good, but and they had a deal going on that if you spent $50, you got $20 off, and your first delivery was free. Well, I'm like, hey, this is something I'm only ever going to do once.
Yeah.
So, so we got a case of water, we got muffins, I knew we had a fridge in the room, so we got fruit, and then we got cereal bars. So I didn't have to take any of it on the plane. I had it delivered to the resort. We stay at the Grand Californian. I had it delivered there at 3:00. Which was the time we should be getting there from the airport. It beat us there. Bell service held it, and when we checked in, they brought it up with our luggage.
That's perfect. Like, yeah, you really can't beat that. And then, and then I think one of well, there's two other ways I think you could potentially save. One of them is, it's not really a savings, but to me, anytime I have cash and I spend cash, it's like free money. It's the way my weird brain thinks. But if I were to, now again, we're going pretty often, so we can tuck aside a little bit of cash here and there. But if you're talking about going, maybe once a year and you're taking your family for a week, as weird as it sounds, dig that change out of your pockets, dig that change out of your couch cushions, the seats of your car, put it aside somewhere. And honestly, well, I don't know about banks, but credit unions will have a change machine inside of their branch. And a lot of times, if you're a member, you can substitute all that change for cash with no fee. Even if you go up to a grocery store, you go to a bank, it might be 3%, so it's not horrible. Let's just say over a year, you even just tuck away $100 in change, you cash it out, you take $100 cash. We've already just discussed that's a meal for four at Morimoto if you're smart about it. So I think that's another great option. And on top of that, you have places like Costco, Sam's Club, and BJ's Wholesale Club that often will sell gift cards in bulk at a discounted price. Now, whether that's a Disney gift card or a Visa gift card, you might be able to save anywhere between 5 or 10%. So you could always go ahead and purchase those. And then the same thing goes for Target if you have a red card. If you purchase Disney gift cards at Target, you can your red card, you can save 5%. It doesn't sound like a lot, but if you start to really add it up and you're looking at buying $1,000 in gift cards to eat all the food you want, that's going to add up.
Yeah, so, and again, we do this a lot. So, if I backtrack on this a little bit, because we use it for restaurants, but I also use it, my DVC dues are, come due every January, and we use gift cards to pay it.
Yeah.
Because the reason being,
brilliant.
I buy the gift card on a discount, and if we buy the gift cards at Target, well, we save 5% there. And when you're looking at dues for us, it's $2,400. I say 5% on that $2,400. It's over $100 by doing that. If it's not Target and someplace else, I could use my Visa card that gives me, a couple percent cash back to buy the gift cards at a discount, which then I go and use them for my meal, of which I'm using Tables in Wonderland, saving 20%.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's...
Right, so maybe I ended up truly saving 25 to 30% just by going through that extra little step of
Definitely.
Going and buying a gift card ahead of time.
Yeah. That's absolutely great. And we use the Disney Visa gift card. And again, if you can be, if you're smart enough, which I may not always be, but if you want to look at paying most of your monthly bills on a Disney Visa gift card, and you want to earn 1% back and you pay off that card every month so you're not getting yourself in debt, you're going to, again, earn money over the course of that year or so. We just booked for spring break in March. Call me crazy, and I can't wait for the episodes that'll come out of this, but we booked during our spring break with my parents and my brother and his 3 kids. And my dad, my mom and dad only go to Disney about every 2 or 3 years, but he has a Disney Visa Disney Visa from Chase that he uses every single month for all of his bills, and he pays it off. And he amasses so much money that when he goes every 2 to 3 years, he can pay for a majority of his vacation off of those rewards. So again, if you're good at your finances, that's still another option that you can go ahead and have a Disney Visa, use it, earn the points, and go ahead and save up those rewards, trade them in, and that's just another way to dine when you're at Disney. Love this episode. I think hopefully this gave a lot of tips to people on, knowing that you don't have to spend a ton of money when you're down there. Enjoy the food, enjoy all of the restaurants and everything that Disney has to offer, but you don't have to break the bank if you don't want to. So again, everybody, thank you so much for listening. John, thank you for taking time out of your travel schedule to be here with us. We want to continue to pump out this awesome content. If you are listening to us on iTunes, there's no reason you don't want to just go ahead and give us a little rating while you're there. Might as well give us a review. It's only going to help the show grow, and we would truly appreciate that. That's all for now. We'll see you real soon.